So good morning. I want to welcome everyone to our first virtual career cafe this school year. I'm Amy Good from the Community Education Center for Elk-Cameron counties, and I'll be your mentor for today. Today's session is all about healthcare careers, and we have guests from Penn Highlands healthcare system joining us to share about their career. So our guests today are Dana Hoffman, who is an outpatient practice manager for various providers. Angela Walter, who is an RN, who's going to share her experience in becoming a nurse and the various career paths offered anywhere in healthcare. And then Addeson McAninch is going to join us at the end to share with us scholarship opportunities available through Penn Highlands. So I think we'll just start off with Dana. Do you want to just give us a little introduction and tell us a little bit about you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I've been with Penn Highlands for 20 years. I started out as a front office staff person and progressively promoted within. And I'm now actually a CMA and I manage over 5 offices. I've been managing and supervising over the offices for about 5 to 7 years now. So very busy.
Yes, very busy. All right, thank you. And Angela, how about you?
Thank you also for having me. I have been a registered nurse since the year of 2001, and I've worked various healthcare facilities, both hospital. I traveled extensively for 4 years and have been in the nursing home field since 2016. Med surg, telemetry, ICU, ER, CVICU, cath lab, and now I do education. So it's been a very exciting career.
Yes, you've been around about, I guess. You've got lots of experience everywhere.
That I do.
So that's great. So Dana, do you want to tell us like what a day in the life is like for you? What a typical day looks like.
Yes. So start my morning off pretty early in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock. We as managers oversee the practices that we're with. We oversee their daily duties and operations, help with the staff, the providers, anything that's needed there. So I start off pretty early in the morning. We have meeting or emails that we have to send out to our senior leadership for huddles, any kind of incidents that may have happened in our practices the day before. Start out with that, then move to my office in Brookville. And a lot of times I'm in my offices. Like I said, I oversee 5, so I try to be in each office at least once a week. Some offices, depending on what's going on, I might be right in there helping with checking in or checking out. Recently got that CMA I was mentioned earlier. So sometimes maybe helping with rooming patients, just depends on what the needs are for the practice. So my days go pretty fast, and but we're also preparing for meetings that we have with the staff and just different things like that throughout the day. So a lot of oversight, a lot of operations, things like that I work on. But a lot of times I'm out in the practices. So if they have any questions, I'm right there that I can be available to help.
Are there any challenges you face?
Oh, absolutely. Lots of challenges. I mean, most recently, we're all aware over the last couple of years, COVID has been a major challenge that we've had in the medical world, and making sure that we're keeping everybody safe, keeping ourselves safe, keeping our patients safe. So it's definitely challenging. With anything where you have, when you're dealing with public, you'll have your patient concerns or maybe a complaint that might come in, and you've got to see through that and be able to help that patient out with whatever it may be, maybe a delay in getting their meds, or maybe just a frustration not being able to get through to the office because the phones are busy. So those are types that I step in and talk with those patients, and you show your empathy and compassion with them to help them through those difficult situations.
Thank you. Angela, do you want to tell us about a day in the life for you?
Well, my day is very varied, to say the least. I can start anywhere from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 is usually the latest I come in. I often come in early so that I can catch night shift before they leave to do education. Because I not only teach the nurse aid students, I'm in charge of all the education for the facility staff. Whether it be a new procedure or a new policy, a new way to deal with residents, give them different tips and ideas, because our residents vary so much in age and what their conditions are. It just, my day is, it is what it is when I come through the door. I don't really follow, there's no set, I'm going to do this now and except when I'm doing class. When I'm doing class, that's pretty much my focus is teaching, the going through the books and then getting them on the floor to actually do the clinical care to get them ready to take their certification tests.
So it sounds like you don't ever get bored. It's something different every day.
I never get bored. My entire nursing career has never been boring. As I was talking to, I have a nursing student here today from a college doing shadowing one the RNs on the floor, and I said, I've been a nurse for 23 years, and I learn something new every day, whether it's a new procedure or something technical, or a new way to talk to somebody or to deal with a resident. It's just, it has never been boring for me.
And speaking, like you've had so many nursing positions, like what does a typical day look like for a nurse? Like, is there, any commonalities within, working throughout the different departments?
The caring for people, probably. As a med-surg nurse, that was taking care of chronic conditions. People would just come in sick or fresh from surgery, and we would get them from the recovery to being ready to go home and able to take care for themselves. In the ICU, of course, that was acute illnesses. I had to learn to do a lot of operating machines, vents, how to manage a tracheostomy. The ER, of course, is your acute illnesses coming in. My favorites were whenever I'd assist the physician to cut it, to sew up a cut, or I'd see deep into I've seen bone. It's been, I love the ER. That was always exciting. When I went to the cath lab, that's probably my favorite job there was, when I went to cath lab, I was a circulating nurse. So I made sure the patients were comfortable on the bed, talked to them throughout their procedure. Cath lab was taking care of people that were having heart attacks. And we would deploy stents into their hearts so that they would stop having a heart attack. I've saved many a life on the table of a cath lab, doing assisting the physician, shocking people to bring them out of a bad arrhythmia with their heart, and doing CPR. I've done a lot of CPR in my life. And then I traveled as a cath lab nurse. My husband got injured and I had to come home and be a private nurse for him. So that's why I got out of the travel and cath lab. My career as a nurse started as a nurse aide in healthcare facility. I sat in a classroom and learned what I teach now. And I always wanted to go back to that eventually as a nurse, because I wanted to give back to people what was given to me. And that, that desire to care for people.
Did you start as an aide with the intention of becoming a nurse?
Oh no, I was just I wanted a job that gave me security. So that's why I started as a nurse aide. I became very frustrated rather quickly in the limitations of a nurse aide, because you do such hard work, and we know the nurse aide knows the resident the best, and you're not always listened to. So I went on to be a nurse with the thought that I was going to stay in the nursing home and I was going to make a difference in these people's lives. I would listen to what the nurse aides have to say when it comes to patient care. Um, and then I got kind of drawn into the hospital my last year of nursing school, and that was the direction I took. But I always wanted to come back to the nursing home so that I could make that difference, and I do make a difference. Yet I listen.
And so now you teach that nurse's aide position. Do you recommend that as a starting point for students who are interested in nursing?
Absolutely. It's the foundation of all nursing care is the nurse aide. I can tell when I work with different LPNs and RNs if they have done from the nurse aide roll up, versus somebody that comes out of school and becomes a nurse. I'm not saying that that's not a good nurse too, but you're very much more compassionate with resident care when you start at the bottom. Resident care and how you treat each other too.
Okay. So Dana, you work in healthcare, but you didn't have to go to be a nurse, to do what you do, but you're still working with patients, correct?
Correct. Yes. Directly working with patients. I've done a lot of front office work. And then, like I had mentioned, promoting within, Penn Highlands has a opportunity that's wonderful that you can go back to school to be a medical assistant. And they send you to school and pay for that schooling through BCAT. And so I moved into that just over the last couple of years, something I always wanted to do, but due to the demand of my job, it was hard to be able to step away from my position to do something like that. So that was wonderful. So I haven't done a lot of nursing, so that's more recent, but it has been very much in person, hands-on with patients. You're the first person they see when they walk in the door to check in, and you're representing that organization you're working for. And I just have a passion for wanting to help people. I just love interacting with people. And that also leads into just not patients, but the staff that I oversee. We just try to make our jobs fun to be there, and because it can be very challenging. So the days are very busy, and you're trying to keep everything organized as to what's our next step. So you're trying to keep that all organized and be that compassionate person for those patients that come in there, because that's what they're there for. So you definitely don't have to be a nurse to move into this position, but I feel like it gives you a better understanding, sort of like Angela said, of the whole realm of the office. And I think it's great that you started, like I started as a PSR, and I was able to see that part of it, then move into this part of it as well. So you're sort of getting a whole gist of that position in that office.
And so what was like the training like, like what kind of skills would a student need to have, to do your position?
To begin, for a PSR, you can come in here and you don't have to have any training. So we provide all that training. I work one-on-one with new staff members I bring in because I have been doing this for a long time. So it's on the job training for that. Now, as for, a licensure or certification to be a CMA or to be an LPN, yes, definitely you have to go to that trade school to get that certificate or that license. But once again, once you come on with Penn Highlands, we do all the on the job training. We do competencies to make sure that everybody's competent in what they're doing, and those are done yearly. There's a whole orientation process you go through. So, but as a PSR, you can definitely just come in with no background from a schooling and begin, and then promote yourself and move forward within the organization.
So it's a great way to get into healthcare.
It is.
All right. So let's talk about communication. Communication is important. So who are you communicating with regularly, collaborating with? Dana, we'll just stay with you if you want to go ahead and answer
Okay,
that.
sure. Yeah, definitely communication is key. It's key to success. It's key to efficiency. I say that all the time in my clinics. We've got to communicate to be efficient and to get our job done. And it's overall the key to success. So I communicate daily with all of my staff and my providers. My providers know that they can reach out to me. I have an open door. They know that. I also then have to communicate things up the chain of command. So those things I have to communicate to my leader as well. And like I stated earlier, there's a huddle report that we do every morning for incidents within our organization, so we can learn from them. Is there something we could have done better? Is there something we did really good in that area? And what can we share with other places? So communication is huge. You're communicating with other offices, other managers, and your staff. We have weekly emails that we send out that I communicate and try to keep things into one lump sum, so you're not inundating people with different things and regulations that come out, things that change throughout the week. So we communicate a lot through email, but I also communicate through my phone or in person. But I'm communicating with people above me, people that are in my clinics, providers. Definitely open line of communication is what you need to have to be successful.
So there's email communication, personal one-on-one communication, probably phone communication too.
Absolutely.
So that's a big thing in healthcare
Yeah.
for sure. Angela, how about you?
There it is. Sorry, I couldn't get my mute off. Communication. That is like 90% of my job is communicating. With educating the students and educating staff. Like I have to, I guess it's my communication is all a lot of verbal, and it's as much the nonverbal communication that goes on in my job, because I have to make sure that what I'm stating to people, they're understanding as the educator. Uh, I talk to students, I talk to the nurse aides, I talk to the LPNs, I talk to the RNs. I also have the director of nursing that I have to answer to, the administrator, um, the assistant director of nursing. I talk with housekeeping, therapies. Like there's I couldn't even. That's like just brushing the tip of who I talk to on a daily basis. I talk to residents, I talk to physicians, I talk to family members. Um, a lot of telephone call, and now with technology, we do a lot of messaging through our computer system. So you have to be very cautious of how your punctuations and your capitalizations, to make sure that somebody doesn't think that you're screaming at them because you forgot to turn your cap locks off. That's been a real learning lesson for me. Is the technically talking to people, I guess. And things like Zoom meetings, and I've done education through Zoom, both as the learner and as a teacher. It's not easy when you can't see faces and you don't get that feedback. So yeah, while verbally communication is very important, the nonverbals that you see are really almost more important in my job.
So you talked about technology. Like what tools are you using, and like how do you stay up to date with the latest advancements?
Oh, goodness sakes. Um, I do a lot of internet searches on to find out the information that I need. We have once a year, that as far as education goes, I have to go to State College, and we have a big 2-day conference on the updates to the nurse aid training program. And that's where I've learned a lot of my things that I do use for my class. Um, I set up an online Jeopardy game that we practice. We do reviews on. I've tried Kahoot and I can't get it. I use the Buzzer app for our Jeopardy games, because it's when I have 5 students all yelling out their name at the same time, I never knew who said what first. So the buzzer on the Jeopardy game works out very well. I use all online videos for the classroom, for the definitions and examples of abuse and neglect and how to do their skills. And I let them watch a professional do it, and then I teach them. So there's so much more that can be done that I just don't have time to learn.
So when you were in the cath lab, so like, did you have to go to special training?
Oh, yes. Well, I had all of my years of nursing experience counted towards that. I had to learn, I do how to read EKGs. And I did obtain my AC or CCRN, critical care registered nurse certification. That was as bad as taking the boards all over again. But because it was critical care, I had to know as much as the physicians did in order to know how to care for people. So, basic arrhythmia. I do have to obtain or maintain my CPR and BLS, basic life support, as a nurse all the time. The critical care was a little bit extra. Now, and I did start off originally with just an associate's degree for my nursing license. But I went on and got my bachelor's degree, which is 4 years of college equivalent, because I did think about doing nurse practitioner or higher, but just life didn't let me do that. And now I'm 2 years away from retirement, so I don't want to do it now.
So, and I'm guessing, like, depending on what area you choose to go into as a nurse, there's different certifications
Oh,
and things
yeah.
to take.
I can, there's a geriatric certification that would be very useful in my position currently. I just haven't had the time to look into that, but you can get certified med-surg, certified. There's a lot of certifications you can get for education too. I had to do a certification for train the trainer program in order to be able to teach nurse age students. So there was that I couldn't teach if I didn't have that certification.
Now, these certifications, is this something you get locally, online? How does it work?
The train the trainer program was local. I just had to go to Harrisburg. I had to go down to Harrisburg for that, and then my updates are done in State College. The CCRN was it's an online thing that you do, and it's not really like a class that you could go to. They give you the information to study, and you study it, and then you go take your test. But the Penn Highlands, back when I worked at the hospital, actually paid somebody to hold the classes for us. They were trying to obtain magnet status, and the more you have to have, so many of your nurses employed had to be bachelor's prepared. So they helped us get our bachelor's degree and offered that critical care class for us, which I think was immensely valuable at the time because I never got all of that on my own.
That's good you have that help. And so, Dana, how about in your position?
So same thing, we have webinars you can sign into, even for the staff in my clinics. They have insurance sites have webinars you can join into. We provide a lot of education through our organization ourselves. We have net learnings we have to do. There's just different types of webinars that you can sign into for it. We also have yearly like I'd mentioned, competencies that we go through. And so anything like that is how we sort of maintain what we have, and then to learn new as well. Insurance are constantly changing. The things that they're paying for and how they pay for them are constantly changing. So it's always good to be able to log into those types of webinars through those companies and learn more. And then with the clinical side of it, the same thing. We also have to do our CPR. Everybody in the office have to have CPR. So they provide that within Penn Highlands. And there's just different types of education sessions like that you can join. We have a meeting where we share things that we've learned, and those are usually every other month that we're work group meeting where all the front staff go to. And then we have nurses meetings also every other month that they attend. So we do a lot of education through that. We'll have a speaker during those meetings that will maybe particularly talk about one topic and educate, like vaccines, things like that. So we do a lot of education through meetings and webinars.
And again, your certification, how long was that program?
Actually, it was a 14-week course. So usually a medical assistant course can be anywhere from, it depends on where you go, 10 to 18 months to get that certification. However, it was a program that if you've been within a medical office for 1 year, it doesn't matter if it's Penn Highlands or you work somewhere else for 1 year and you have that experience, then you can apply to go to that course. They run those courses 14 weeks and they run at least 4 a year through Penn Highlands, and then you apply that way, go through a interview, and so they decide if you're qualified. And it was 14 weeks. It was a very intense 14 weeks, but it was a great 14 weeks.
Well, that's you both have very quick programs that students can kind of get through and start their career path. So that's great.
Absolutely.
I'm going to open the floor for anyone that's logged on if you have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? No one has any questions? Okay. I guess, do you have any advice, for students who are trying to figure out what they want to do and, maybe they're considering healthcare?
Well, I can say that when you're graduating, and I look back to when I was 18, that's a huge thing that you have to decide when you're 18. So it's very difficult. But, with us, like I said, you can come into that PSR role, and that teaches you a lot about healthcare and deciding if that's where you want to be. It's a huge decision. Whenever I got out of school, I'm totally doing something different than I thought I wanted to do. So you really got to soul search and you got to decide where it is you want to be in life, but don't be afraid to jump into something. And when I got into this, it wasn't even what I thought I was going to do. And here I am 20 years later, and I'm loving what I do. So do a lot of soul searching and don't be afraid to leap into something and challenge yourself. You're only going to get somewhere if you challenge yourself.
And you make a good point about healthcare. I mean, there's so many options. Like you can start somewhere and not like it and move on, to a different area. So that's great.
Absolutely. Even in nursing, it's not just, there's so many different avenues that you can take in the nursing world that is in healthcare.
Angela, how about some advice from you?
Well, I never dreamt I would be a nurse, let alone a registered nurse. I have 23 years. But I would say what I suggest to people is if they think they want to be a nurse, my course runs 4 weeks. It's 16 days. And it's a very big eye opener as to what healthcare is. And it doesn't cost them anything to take my class. We actually pay them. And they come out with a skill that is very usable throughout life. And if you'll know coming out of nursing, out of the CNA class, if nursing is for you or not. Then you can go on to a different avenue in healthcare. I have a daughter that is a CNA. She took the Jeff Tech course and became a CNA. She toyed with the idea of becoming a nurse, but she didn't love nursing enough to invest so much time into her education. So, and she's still in healthcare now. She did some wraparound with what she learned as a CNA, and now she's helping people with insurance needs. So she's still in the healthcare field, just not doing direct care. So, I mean, there's so many healthcare is so vast now as to what you can do.
Yes, and you make a very good point. Like you guys actually pay to get the training to see if it's something that you want to do. So that's
Yes, we
great.
do.
So
Hi.
Addison, are you joining us by phone?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, I can.
Okay, perfect.
Um,
I apologize. I just kept having difficulty, so I thought it was easier just to go on here. But
yeah.
I'm happy to share the scholarship opportunities that we have, what I do with the schools to help for anybody that might be interested in entering the healthcare field.
Yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about, do you want to just share too, like what your position is with the
Yeah.
hospital, and then what opportunities you have for students?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Addison. I am the Penn Highlands Student Outreach Coordinator for our entire system. So what I basically do is put schools and students in touch with our facilities that can range from our hospitals, our outpatient clinics, nursing homes, really anything that falls under the Penn Highlands umbrella, and kind of experience or give students the experience of what it's like to be in healthcare to help make their decision once they graduate. So I know there's lots of different opportunities within healthcare, the industry alone. So I can help if that includes nursing, something like marketing, what I do, or talent acquisition, which is a fancy word for recruitment, which is what I'm under, human resources, business. So I actually graduated from Penn State with a 4-year degree in business with a focus in marketing. And I also did not think I was going to end up in healthcare, but it really touches the lives of everybody, especially within the North Central PA region, with just how big Penn Highlands has grown over the years. So I'm happy to help students with job shadows. There's just quick 3 forms that students fill out, and I can help organize those. There's some places that are off limits. That includes surgery, labor and delivery, emergency department, and our cancer centers. But other than that, I mean, we have over 200 outpatient clinics. You can follow somebody in billing if you're going that route, in accounting, nursing, obviously. If you want to become a doctor, we have a whole residency program that we can help put you in touch with. So I am happy to help anybody set up a job shadow or just fill out the forms. It's really quick and easy. I also, another part of my job is setting up the scholarships. So we have quite a few, and they all include Penn Highlands paying for your entire tuition in exchange for working at any one of our Penn Highlands facilities after graduation for 3 years. So if you want to become an RN, LPN, I know they've touched on the CNA courses. We have medical assistant courses, and we have brand new with Mount Aloysius College, Surge Tech and Rad Tech opportunities. So again, we help pay your entire tuition in exchange for working anywhere within our system for 3 years. So if anybody has questions on that, I also have flyers on each of them. It's pretty easy. It's a quick interview with myself and the department director. And then if we decide to give you the scholarship, you just get a check sent directly to you in the mail to give to the school. So it's a great opportunity, I think. If people want to job shadow before they commit to one of those scholarships, I'm happy to do that as well.
And do you have you have some programs that are like facilitated at the Du Bois Hospital, correct?
Yes, so the Surge Tech and Rad Tech programs are at the Penn Highlands Du Bois Hospital or the Du Bois Area High School. All the classes are here, so they come with an instructor from the college, sit down. They also have mock OR rooms. They go into our radiology department, so they get hands-on training while in school, and that helps, especially if you sign on to our scholarship, kind of transition you into your position once you graduate.
And those are a partnership with colleges. So they can go
Yes,
and so they can live at home locally and go to school and still get that college degree.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are both through Mount Aloysius. And then, like I believe Angela touched on, the CNA courses are also right within Penn Highlands. We have one at Jefferson Manor and one at Pinecrest Manor. Those up in Elk may be more familiar with Pinecrest. And we also have medical assistant courses as well.
One thing I'd like to mention too is Penn Highlands has grown. I don't know if you want to share like all the locations. that you guys are located in?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So our hospitals, we have 8, soon to be 9. A lot of them are within the North Central region. So our main hub is Du Bois, and we also have Elk, Brookville, Clearfield. We have 2 over by State College, Tyrone and Huntington, and then a micro hospital being built in State College itself. And now we have 2 down near Pittsburgh, and that's in Connellsville and Monongahela Valley. Besides that, we also have long-term care facilities, Jefferson Manor, Pinecrest Manor. We have all of WRC, which is located within Brookville, Clarion area. There's one up in Ridgeway as well, Ridgemont. We have over 200 outpatient clinics, and that spreads over many counties. As far as, I believe, Scranton, we have one out there, and then everything over west to Ohio. So, and lastly, we have home health. So those are the nurses going into people's homes to help care for those patients. So we have quite a few opportunities, and it's growing more and more each day, it seems.
So, and you have transferability options. So if students start here locally and decide they want to move out of the area, there's definitely an option to stay within Penn Highlands system with other options, right?
Yeah, definitely. So especially for those that are on the scholarships, I know I had mentioned if we pay for your tuition, once you graduate, you work for us for 3 years. Within that 3-year time period, you're not pigeonholed to one location. You're able to say after a year, you want to move to a different location or move down to the city in Pittsburgh, as long as you stay within our system. And like I said, there's quite a few locations now. That time clock keeps ticking. So there's quite a few opportunities. You don't have to stay within the same department either. And that goes for people on or off our scholarships.
So I have a question in the chat. How do you apply for one of the scholarships or get set up with job shadow opportunities?
So they would contact me. I am happy to share my information afterwards, or if you would like to, Miss Good.
Yeah.
You can call me, email me. I have forms to send. I can share those, and the scholarships, I set all of those up and interview all of the students. So all of me, I can handle it all.
I will provide that to the teachers after the session, like with the recording, your contact information and like your job shadowing forms. I don't know if you have any scholarship forms you want to share with me that I can share out, or
yeah, I have a flyer for each of the opportunities that we have, so I'm happy to share those as well.
Okay, that would be great. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions before we jump off? Great. Well, I want to thank you ladies for joining us. A lot of good information. Healthcare is definitely, something available in our area for students to consider. And I appreciate you giving them some information and advice today.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks, everybody.